Oftentimes what I see CEOs and like startups and entrepreneurs do is they get stuck in, that's my first concept, it's my baby. Like I have to stay there, and they stay there too long, and they burn through resources or burn through relationships versus iterating to where you really should be going. Like listen to where the market and where your customers are pushing you. It's okay to pivot and iterate and move. It's not failure. It's even though it feels like failure, right? But it's a shift in that mindset.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7 and 8 figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. If you ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Jared Moss. And Jared started his journey. Went to high school here in Utah and played soccer as well as basketball. Afterwards, went off to the University of Utah and studied economics as well, while playing college soccer. And then went off to University of Oregon and went to law school. While there, worked for a research facility and helped them commercialize their innovations. Afterwards, graduated and worked for a number of companies doing some M&A corporate work. And then about 8 years ago, to start his own business, partnering with other businesses to help them bring their products to market. So, with that much as a quick introduction, welcome on the podcast, Jared.
Awesome. Hey, thanks a lot, Devin. Really appreciate it.
Hey, excited to have you here. Well, I just gave kind of the quick overview to a much longer journey. So, why don't we rewind and unpack a little bit and tell us a little bit about how your journey got started going to high school, playing some soccer and basketball?
Yeah, I mean, sports was always a big passion of mine. 5 boys in the family, so you can imagine, you had to get your energy out. So that's kind of where the journey started, and got into competitive soccer and basketball pretty early, and ended up being on travel teams on both soccer and basketball, and that led into winning state championships during high school in both sports.
Well, that's awesome. So you got into the sports. You're going to high school, and then as all good high school journeys come to an end or go to the next phase, you went off to the university. And tell us a little bit about kind of where you went and what you studied and kind of what you did while you're there.
Yeah, so University of Utah was in the family blood. My dad was actually student body president at the University of Utah, so I had to follow suit as the oldest boy. Carry the banner on. And so I went to University of Utah, studied economics. While I was there, I also played on the college soccer team. And so I was really busy, as you can imagine, as a student athlete, and enjoyed the economics program and learned about the fundamentals of demand and supply and marketing and great background for
Awesome.
business.
Well, continue on. Yeah, I mean, go ahead and keep
Yeah,
sharing your journey. Walk us through.
for sure. Yeah. And then from there, really wanted to I always knew I wanted to do some sort of grad school, whether it was MBA or engineering, and so during my undergrad, I took a lot of different courses, had a lot of different mentors, and really just started finding a passion for writing and being in a role of more of an advice and advisor, and that led into conversations with lawyers. And so I actually got a job my final year of undergrad with Mrs. Fields Cookies, and joined the law department at Mrs. Fields Cookies. So they were one of the largest franchisors at the time. They managed about 5 different brands, from cookies to pretzels, yogurt. I don't know if you're familiar with TCBY yogurt, but they were the owner of TCBY yogurt. And my job was to essentially manage the franchisee contracts. So it was about a catalog of oh man, I think it was close to 10,000 franchisees across the globe. That was sort of my role, is to make sure those contracts were continually updated and the franchisees were getting answers to their contracts and updates, revisions, etc. So really busy. Got to know the legal team there and just fell in love with servicing clients and the law and that unique aspect of how law and business go together. So that led me to the University of Oregon and had a phenomenal time. Didn't know what tailgating was until I went to the University of Oregon. It was phenomenal.
And what did you, and kind of what emphasis or what as you went off to law school, what did you focus on or what did you go into?
Yeah, so my first year of law school, I actually considered getting a joint MBA, but instead of actually going that route, I actually took extra MBA courses. So I went to the business school and asked if I could take extra courses instead of actually getting an MBA degree. So I was practicing law, or not practicing, I was taking law classes and taking MBA classes in the evening. And that led to my first year summer after the first year of law school. The MBA program had a entrepreneurship and commercialization program, and it was with the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory out in Washington. So I joined up with that group, got hired on as a fellow, and so there was a student from the MBA school, a student from the engineering school, and a student from the law school, and we would take these really cool technologies that these scientists had created, but they were putting on the shelf, just kind of like your hat's there in the background. They had no idea how to actually turn them into a real business, but they were fantastic technologies. And so we would spend time with 10 technologies, narrow it down to 3, and then further narrow it down to 1 and try to put a business concept around it. And we ended up taking those to business school competitions for the next year. So my second year of law school was taking one of those technologies, and we entered about 20 different small business competitions. And it was phenomenal. Went all over the country.
So now you went all over the country. You kind of got into the business side of things, the inventor side of things, and
Yeah.
it sounds like took a few of the MBA classes. Now as you're coming out of law school, out of studies, kind of where did the journey take you from there?
Yeah. So because of that kind of entrepreneurial and business background, also with the law degree, I got recruited to join PricewaterhouseCoopers and join their M&A division. And it was a group of about 6 lawyers. I was in the San Diego office. And what we did for large corporations is we would look at their M&A. We would basically do their M&A structuring. And also we had another unique business division, which was really cool, which was we would reverse engineer acquisitions that large corporations had done and try to figure out where they could have done better or saved more money or gotten tax breaks. And we would restructure the deal after the fact. And then we'd go ask for refunds from the Fed and the California State Franchise Tax Board. We became enemies of those groups, as you can imagine, but it was freaking really fun when our clients would get a massive refund from these taxing organizations.
Gotcha. So now, how long did you do that for? Was it kind of under a single firm, or did it work
Yeah,
for a
so
number of firms?
Price Waterhouse, large international company, some of the Ernst and Young and the big tax companies. So did that for 3.5 years, and then from there, I got recruited to join a boutique merger and acquisition firm where we had about 30 private equity, hedge fund, family office clients. And our job there was to structure their acquisitions that they were considering. And so I was the lead counsel there, and just probably over the next 2.5 years, structured about 2,000 different transactions from asset acquisitions to stock purchase to mergers. I did that for all different industries, from billboard companies to pet distribution, food products. I mean, you name it. It was really fun.
Now, so it sounds like you'd found a good niche. We're getting a lot of traction, otherwise finding some success. So now, how did that segue into what you're doing now, or kind of the pursuit of what you've built or built over the last few, or several years?
Yeah. Then from there, really continued to build an expertise in the practice of law. What I got known for because of that really unique structuring is clients and other colleagues would send to me really complicated matters. I became sort of the known as the untangler of knots, if you will. And so for the next 8 to 10 years, really just became that type of expert in the legal space. And I had about 20 clients that were very wealthy CEOs, global CEOs. So they were all over the world traveling. And I said, that's what I want to do. I want to be one of them. And so I made a transition. I went to each one of those clients, asked if I could just be on their board or just be uh, just learn from them. And that I was surprised. I thought only one or two would say yes. Every single one of them said yes.
Hmm.
And over the next year, I just sat on boards of these companies and sat side by side with these CEOs and just learned from them. And from that, ultimately, what came is they would come to me and say, hey, I'm thinking about this particular business or a spin out or this new idea. And they would just lean on me. And eventually I started asking, hey, let's go do that together. And so I became a co-founder over the next 8 years of about 10 to 15 different companies. Some did well, some didn't. And that's where I am today is from that opportunity is kind of doing the same thing. I work with really sophisticated CEOs and help them do a new spin out or a new company or a new startup. But it's always bolted onto an existing enterprise.
So now, did you go do that? So was it, or you started that doing that, kind of working with or the people within your network and building the business? And so that I think when we chatted a bit before, that was about, is that 8 years ago or so,
About
or
eight
how
years
long ago did you
ago.
get started?
Yeah, about 8 years ago. Yeah.
So, a lot of times as you naturally get started, you tend to, utilize or leverage your natural or your current network in order to build the business around it. As you've now kind of evolved over the last 8 years, has that kind of been the mainstay of those that you had prior relationships with, or is it build it or built it out or expanded it to or integrate in other business paths, or kind of walk us through a bit as
Yeah,
to
I mean,
that evolution over the last several years?
yeah, that's really the what I found as a path to least resistance or path to success is leveraging other people's networks, right? It's really hard as a startup to go, I've got this idea or I've got this company and I'm going to go do this from scratch. Well, you have no name, you have no brand, you have no client, you have no network. Like, how does a startup do that, right?
Hmm.
And consistently, what I've learned from these top CEOs is that is the first way to fail consistently is to do it with zero. And
Hmm.
so the real path to success is what is it? What is that value that you're bringing to another network? Another network is always looking, like take your network, for example. You're always looking for something to add value to your network. And if someone can come to you and go, I've got this new widget or this new service or this new idea, and I can immediately provide value across your entire network, you're probably going to listen and go, yeah, let's at least take a look at that. So that's what that's sort of the secret intro to success that I found for startups is find a network that needs what you're going to provide and find a way to get into that network.
Hmm. No, that definitely makes sense, and always much easier to leverage or utilize whether it's your existing network or others that you or that may have that network that you can partner with to give you a starting point or to increase the odds of success. So now you've been doing that for a number of years. Kind of maybe catch us up, kind of where you're at today, and if you're to look out over the next kind of 6 to 12 months, where do you see things headed for you?
Yeah, where I am today, one of the things that I hadn't done in the last 8 years is really build my own brand, right? I've been doing it side by side with another CEO or another brand. And so I've always been in sort of in the background while I've still been side by side with these founders in these companies, and some have been very successful. No one really knew who I was, right? They're like, well, who's Jared Moss? And so that's what I'm working on currently is building my own personal brand. And then inside of my brand or, my Spider-Verse, my universe, if you will, there's all these companies and what am I working on? And so that's what I'm doing right now, is build my personal brand. And inside of that, you get access to all these companies that I'm working on, this entire network that I've been building. And we're building currently, there's 4 different companies that we're building right now inside of that ecosystem.
That's awesome. And kind of what are those businesses that you're building, or kind of what's the overall brand? Is there a focus within a given industry, or diversification across a number of industries, or still navigating that or figuring out, or kind of what's that
Yeah, they are.
focus and to look like?
They complement each other in some way. And I'll talk about each of them briefly. So the first is around entrepreneurs. And so the first brand that we have inside of my brand is called Secret Sauce. And this is about transforming business owners and entrepreneurs into an elite entrepreneur. And it has a secret agent, James Bond theme to it, where you go on missions that are curated specifically for you at the specific stage of your business that you're at right now. And as you go on these missions, not only are they educational, so you're learning content, but you are going on operational missions and tactical exercises to put that knowledge into actual practice. And you will fail. And that's actually, we want you to fail. Why? Because that's how you learn. And then you come back and report and you go on the next mission. And you ultimately go on this transformation of becoming an elite entrepreneur through knowledge and practice and exercise and systems and processes. And at the end, what you learn is it was really none of those tools or that education. It was you. You've always had that capacity, and now you're there. And it's like this really transformational, real empowering exercise. It's really fun. So that's secret sauce. So you learn that the secret sauce now wasn't what we were teaching you. It was just empowering you to become who you really can become.
No, that's awesome.
It's really cool. And so that's secret sauce. And then on that one, that leads into, okay, well, part of being an entrepreneur is you're going to come into wealth. And what are these paths and how to create wealth and creating a legacy business. So the next one is teaching about a fundamental wealth creation is around real estate. So companies called Quartz, and we advise real estate investment trust companies, and we create real estate investment structures. And so this teaches about the fundamentals of real estate, how to invest in real estate. Real estate is one of the premier recurring revenue streams that any entrepreneur should have. So that's Quartz. Along with that is another really big wealth creation for me, and will be for many, is around blockchain and AI. So the next company that we have is actually called Nakamoto. So the founder of blockchain is called Satoshi Nakamoto. No one really knows who that person is. And so we've branded the first AI agent, Nakamoto, that trains individuals around blockchain and AI technologies and how to create wealth in both of those industries. And then the final one really ties into, okay, now you've created this wealth, you're a successful entrepreneur. How do you become a legacy? How do you pass that on to future generations? And that brand is called Digital Legends. So then our final phase of you becoming this legendary personality in perpetuity is Digital Legends. And what we're doing there is it's all competition, sport, and legend based, where you can now memorialize yourself in a digital format and you can live on in perpetuity and pass that on to future generations. And to bring it to life, our first digital legend is actually someone in the past. We went back to the future. And so we grabbed the intellectual property rights of one of the greatest golfers of all time, Ben Hogan. And we've created Ben Hogan's personality, his AI intelligence, his voice, and we're bringing Ben Hogan back to life. And you can now compete against Ben Hogan in golf simulators. And we partnered with True Golf to pull that off. So that's what we're doing. Cool. It's like really fun.
No, sounds like a lot of diverse set of different industries, a lot of opportunities, as well as probably just a lot of fun there as well. So that's definitely sounds like
it's really, really fun. It's like, what do you do? Like my kids are like, what do you do, Dad? I'm like, what do you want to do today? You know?
No, that's awesome. It sounds like it's probably a lot of fun along the way. So, well,
Yeah.
now as we've kind of caught up to the present day as far as kind of where you're at as well as where things are headed, kind of a great time to transition to the two questions I always like to wrap up each episode with. So we'll jump to those now. So the first question I'd like to ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made, and what'd you learn from it?
Yeah, worst business decision was to actually let down my guard in partnering with someone, in the sense of I went on a trust exercise versus I didn't take that next step to do usually what I would have done, right? Like do a background check and verify and talk to references and like really find out who my business partner was going to be before I went into partnership. And as that unfolded, we actually were running a very successful enterprise when I finally discovered who this person was. And the end result ended up being this person stole money from the company. The criminal background all of a sudden came out. Like it hurt our business, it hurt our reputations. So, so that was the biggest mistake in my career so far. Was
No, and
not
that's
doing
always
that additional diligence that I usually do.
No, definitely makes sense. That one's always kind of hard because a lot of times you get into it and you get excited about the opportunity, kind of, what all the, things that you could do with the business and where it might be headed. And, sometimes you overlook doing that, initial due diligence to make sure everything lines up and makes sense or works out right. So definitely an easy mistake to make, but also a great one to learn from. And sorry, it looks like my camera there tripped off there for a second. So everybody got to hear me for a second, but not see me. But no, no. And so now the second question I'd like to ask is, so now if you're talking to somebody that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give them?
The one piece of advice is the mindset of, and that you've got to move really quickly to iterate to what is working. Oftentimes what I see CEOs and like startups and entrepreneurs do is they get stuck in, that's my first concept, it's my baby. Like I have to stay there, and they stay there too long, and they burn through resources or burn through relationships versus iterating to where you really should be going. Like listen to where the market and where your customers are pushing you. It's okay to pivot and iterate and move. It's not failure. It's even though it feels like failure, right? But it's a shift in that mindset.
No, I definitely agree on that. Sometimes it's easy to kind of get, stuck on or otherwise want to, stay with the original idea because that's kind of the concept and the baby. And yet oftentimes as you do that, or overlook or otherwise forego a pivot or a shift that can either, be beneficial to business or sometimes save it. So definitely is a great one to a great piece of advice. So well, with that, now as we do wrap up, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend,
Yeah.
any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
Yeah, best email ceo@jaredmoss.com, or you can find me on all this, LinkedIn and socials. Most of my handles are CEO Jared Moss. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out, support a great business, expand their network, and if nothing else, make a new best friend. So, with
Yeah.
that, thank you again, Jared, for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you other listeners that are out there, if you have your own journey to share and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, we'd love to have you. So, just go to inventiveunicorn.com, apply to be on the show. A couple more things as listeners, make sure to click share, subscribe, leave us a review, helps us to reach even more startups and small businesses to help them along their journey to success. And along that note, if along your journey you ever need help with patents or trademarks or anything else with your startup or your small business, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we are always here to help. Well, thank you again, Jared, for coming on the podcast, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Devin. Like